everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play Blades of Avernum. Last episode, we completed another scenario. One that was kind of depressing in its own way, but wasn't that bad. Now it's time to move on to another one. And it's the only one this person happened to make. And it happens to be called Incorruptable. Description unavailable. There are a few more enlightened governments than the Republic's Senate, guiding two-thirds of the globe and yet remaining focused and incorruptible. And you are not simply a citizen of Republic, although that would be an honor enough. You are part of the Senate, a rising star even amongst the many success stories. You are chief advocate of technology, and you do your job well, spreading the fine inventions of the engineers to the Republic. But there still remains a part of the world yet to be enlightened by the Republic, yet to gain its protection. And it would be easy for the Senate to bring these people out of misery were it for one thing. They not only worship false gods, even stooping to the sacrifice of living things, but also are practitioners of foul magics, summoning daemons in their ancient temples. These powers are dangerous and unpredictable, a threat to the unenlightened, and so the first chief advocate of technology argued they must either give them up or be eradicated. Your primary role is to destroy all those who would turn to such terrible powers. Frustrated by a lack of funding, you have been unable to make much in the way of progress in the tropical jungles. But then suddenly the two grand senators push through a bill giving you immense military support, with the only condition being that you are prepared to lead them yourself. It is not long before the forces mobilize, and you set off at their head. Your ship is lighter, faster, and better crafted, and so you soon reach the southern continent. You would expect to wait for the rest of your armies, but the Senate instructs you to go ahead and begin the war with what you have. Your men are limited and the humidity unbearable, but you are careful to set up small yet well-defended outposts along the river that threads its way through the continent. Returning from the potential site of such an outpost, you hear alarming news. The natives plan to launch a coordinated attack on the small pockets of land you have worked so hard to obtain. You must act quickly. Please note that the scenario is designed for a singleton with no magic. Odd behavior or plot inconsistencies may result if you try to use anything else. Okay, pardon me for just a moment, because, okay, now I have the singleton party made. There was no warning of this. There wasn't even a readme in it. So, let's go with this. After hearing news of the native attack, you realize there was only one thing to do. This outpost is only around a mile from one of the greatest temples to the natives' false gods. If you can launch an attack quickly, however unsuccessful, you might just be able to disrupt their plans, forcing them to defend the temple. To do that, of course, you need soldiers. Fortunately, you constructed a small barracks here under the control of one of your most trusted military commanders. Your forces are small, but if you can maintain the element of surprise, you just might be able to distract the natives. Okay, then. This is certainly a unique appearance, definitely a very unique appearance to this. Very fascinating. They've even got little huts that we can't actually go into. Interesting. A sign below one of the corpses states, "Those suspected of practicing outlawed magics are to be hanged by order of the Republic Senate." Commander Clemo seems to have been doing his job well. Okay. You walk into the Commander Clemo's office. It's just as humid and unpleasant as the rest of this place. The scrolls and the shelves on the walls are already rotting, and Clemo looks ill. You fear that if he has one of the more common illnesses of the region, he'll not last much longer. This is really a shock. One of his defining features before this expedition was his good health. Clemo tries to get up as you come in. He's clearly a bit shaky. Eventually, after a struggle, he's up, leaning heavily on the desk in front of him. "Welcome, Chief Advocate." You cut short his attempt to bow once he's recovered. "How goes the outpost?" Clemo pulls a face, tries to get to a window, then throws up all over the floor. The scribe comes over with a bucket. Presumably, it's a regular occurrence. "I'm too ill to run it properly now. The men have just been stuck in the barracks since you left. There's no way I can lead any attacks on the natives." "Any idea what's wrong?" Clemo remains quiet for a minute, apparently trying to not throw up again. No idea, but the only men we've lost to this disease seem to have picked it up before they got here. You wait for him to elaborate, but unsurprisingly, he's not feeling too talkative. Is there any equipment I can get? Clemo points towards the cabinets in the corner of the room. He looks slightly green, maybe that's why he's not communicating in the traditional fashion. I need all your soldiers. Explain plan. Clemo looks yet more unwell at the news. I'll send the word for the troops to assemble, but I can tell you that there aren't enough. Strange, considering you'd brought nearly 30 with you originally, and more had been supposed to arrive. I'm sorry I can't help you myself, but I'd just throw you down. If any soldiers return, I'll send them after you. What's happened to all the other soldiers? Either dead or requisitioned by a barracks towards the coast. Of course, it's more important that those outposts hold, but it's lucky for the other commanders that you don't have time to deal with them. The scribe is busy writing things down. You wonder exactly what is being written given the lack of action here, but you have more important things to worry about. Yeah. Alright, what have we got in here? We've got a healing potion, a beautiful skin. I guess we can sell that if we find something to sell at. Crude bow, crude arrows, bread, and I guess we should take these apples as well. You poke around in the bookshelf for a few minutes. Finally, you find a text that's not completely coated with mold. Unfortunately, it seems to be entirely empty. There goes your chance of having some reading material. This ladder seems to lead up to the roof space of the hut. At the top is a fairly flimsy trapdoor. Whilst it's probably not too difficult to break it open, you suspect that Clemo's private rooms are above, and that he'd prefer it if you respected his privacy. Okay then. That really all we got? Oh boy. Across the courtyard, you see the soldiers that will be under your command filing out of the barracks. The first thing you notice is that there are only 5 of them. This is to be expected with the apparently vital mission just down the river, but you'd hoped for better. At least they look a bit healthier than Clemo. Ooh. Hello. You try to make some small talk with the soldiers, but they yada yada. The captain of the soldiers greets you. Seems like he's trying to be cheerful, but it's clear he's terrified. You doubt they'd be much good if you came across an eagle warrior. Fortunately, you find a stock of firebombs in the barracks, so you can at least stay safe by burning down the jungle. And these guys are actually following me. Interesting. Ah, crap. Thank you. It's a good thing they move so randomly like that, otherwise I'd be completely stuck. Just outside the outpost, one of your soldiers spots something moving ahead. Caution would be advisable. Alright, let's go through here carefully. In the small clearing above, an eagle warrior stands, flanked by 2 slightly less imposing figures. He appears to be waiting for something. Hopefully not you in particular. Eagle warriors are fearsome soldiers, elites able to decapitate a horse with a single blow. At least they don't use magic. I see him up there. As you step into the clearing, the eagle warrior issues a war cry. More natives emerge from the shadows of the jungle to support him. Nothing like a challenge, eh? Ow. The eagle warrior finally falls dead. Good thing there was only one. You remove his ornate decorations, and after a few minutes trying to get them on, you think that you might just pass for a native. This could help you get into the temple with rather less bloodshed. The rest of your soldiers would be able to join you at the temple later. You instruct your remaining troops to mop up any more natives nearby and continue on towards the temple. Okay, hold on while I reload here, because that was a bother. And there we go. That's all them dealt with. Now, I need this. Alright, we've got all these gear and weapons. Drink that. Put on that sword. Oh, fire grenades. I forgot I had those. Okay. Leather armor. And ash bow. There we go. I completely forgot about those fire grenades. Alright, drop off the poor leather armor. I would wear the studded armor, but it's not identified. I don't like not having things identified. Is that spear one? It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's go in. Alright, in we shall go. Oh, we're actually outside. Huh. Interesting how this works. Huh. That's, I don't think I'm supposed to be out here. Oops. I'm breaking the immersion! I'm breaking the immersion! Excuse me. Alright, it's clearing there. This goes down the river. You think you can see someone by the pool. In front of you, near the pool, you see a flash of yellow. That can only mean one thing. A Coatchique, a shorn one, a mage of terrible powers. They are to blame for the corruption of their people and the proliferation of foul magics. The shorn one must die. Hopefully looking like an eagle warrior will help in this task. One can only hope. And there's a body over there. You realize that something is just a little wrong. Surrounding the pool are corpses of native warriors. The mage is leaning over the water, breathing heavily. By the time you realize what's happening, it's too late to do anything. Not that you would anyway. The mage's arm is dangling in the water, bleeding heavily. Suddenly he slips forward and within seconds his blood is staining the water. You'd been hoping to not have to witness a piranha attack firsthand while you were here. There is an upside, though. Beside where the shorn one had been lying, there is a small obsidian object in the mud. It is a perfectly proportioned skull, a remarkable achievement in a material as hard to work with as obsidian. On a hunch that it might come in useful, or at least look good on your mantelpiece when you get back, you place it into your pack. That is a little worrying. Well, there's a temple over there. Alright, let's go into the temple. You've made it to the natives' temple city. Before you stands a mighty ziggurat, the temple of the ages. You approach it, noting that there's very little going on in the town. Suspicious. Even more suspicious is the lack of other eagle warriors, but at least it means you won't get found out yet. You stand at the brink of the temple, pondering the havoc you can wreak once you get inside. They won't forget this. At least not until your troops arrive and kill them. You step into the legendary Temple of the Ages undetected. In front of you is a long walkway protected by magical runes. To the sides of the walkway stand 2 entire regiments of eagle warriors. When things start happening, you want to be a long way away from them. A very long way. At the end of the walkway stands another shorn one, a prisoner by his side. 2 more of the mages watch over the proceedings. Looks like you've stumbled into one of their obscene rituals. Whatever lives in the pit below the prisoner won't be hungry for much longer. Even if you wanted to, you doubt you could rescue the prisoner. Obscene though they might be, the rituals command intense power, and you doubt that stepping on the runes would be wise. As you walk forward, the Coatchique on the platform begins chanting. The prisoner, realizing he doesn't have long left to live when the mage pulls out a long sacrificial knife, struggles a bit. He cries out some unintelligible phrase as he thrashes about. And then you see his face. He is the more influential of the 2 Grand Senators, Orosh. Oh no. As the mage raises the blade up, waiting for the right moment, the sunlight streams through a small gap in the temple. The light reflects off the blade, showing up on the far temple wall. The wall paintings around you give the impression that Orosh will die once the reflection is directly opposite the ritual. It's probably time to do something. This is a time for quick action, not a calculated approach. The direct route is the only route that can save the Grand Senator. You run forward, stepping across the runes. Before, no one had noticed your entrance, but now some of the crowd direct their attention to you. The Eagle Warriors not still observing the ritual look on in shock as you cross the runes. Not wanting to stop the ritual and knowing what stepping on the runes would do to them, the Eagle Warriors stand paralyzed. This is your only chance to stop the mage, and time is running out. The Eagle Warriors raise their blades in anticipation of the kill. And then the blade comes down. The mage throws the body into the pit below. He raises a bloodied hand, holding the heart of Grand Senator Orosh. Stunned by what's happening, you need to act quickly before you lose the opportunity. Even if you can't destroy the whole temple alone, you can defeat the mage whilst the runes are still active. Before you can move, the mage shouts out, not in the native tongue, but in that of the Republic. "And I believed in the enlightenment of the Republic." The mage whispers an incantation, still holding the heart of the senator, and he begins to fade out of sight. You need to act quickly. You reach into your pack for an arrow and feel something else there. You pull out the obsidian skull. As you hold it in your hand, the mage comes back into focus and the rest of the temple is just a blur. Then it disappears. Except for the walkway, the temple has completely vanished. Surrounding you is space, with asteroids drifting above you. Somehow you get the impression that as long as you stay on the walkway, you won't suffocate, explode, or suffer similar nasty fates. The mage, or can it be a mage, able to speak Republican so well, looks around in wonder. Then he sees you. He looks, if possible, even more surprised than you are at your being here. Unfortunately, it looks like he wants some time alone. He raises his hand to cast a spell that will presumably lead to your death in some unpleasant fashion. The skull, fortunately still in your hand, blurs the air around you, and you see the mage slowing down. As a bolt of energy is flung towards you, you step quickly out of its way. Great! Nice! The mage begins to panic. He starts chanting again, presumably planning to get back to the temple where he can set 20 or so Eagle Warriors on you. You rush him. Okay. As the Shorn One falls, his chanting seems to have worked. The temple comes back into view, minus the 500 or so occupants that were watching the ritual. Seeing as it saves you having to fight off however many elite warriors that can decapitate a horse, you don't mind too much. It's clear, though, that bringing him down had a serious effect on the spell. Whether they're floating in space now or not, the entire native population of this temple has been removed. Not bad for a day's work. Blood sprays over the podium as the Shorn One coughs. Now that you see him in normal light, you see him as he really is. You've seen him many times before, for he is Vertas, the second Grand Senator. As he breathes his last, you consider just how sad it is that one so great could fall so far. But of course it shows that you are right, that magics corrupt even the best. If they can be corrupted, who can you trust? It's probably time to get out of here. I don't think the temple was intended to be explored like this. No, I don't want to jump off a ledge. You stride out of the temple into the empty village. It's not long before your forces finally arrive. They bring a fascinating new invention from the Republic, a liquid that burns like a firebomb. Under your orders, they coat the surrounding jungles with the liquid. As you step back onto the boat that will take you home, you light a match and throw it towards the jungle. The rainforest smolders behind you. Ahead lies the Republic. You now realize it must be done. With your obsidian skull, you will be able to hunt mages down with impunity. Those who practice magics must be stopped at all costs if the greatest can be corrupted that easily. Even if you have to burn down the Republic to destroy them. Well, that was certainly an interesting scenario. It was definitely more of a story than anything else. Not meant to be any other kind of thing. And, like I said, it's interesting. Not too bad. Obviously, it was made to be a one-shot, not anything super detailed. They didn't put too much effort into it, but they did put effort into it to make it an interesting story. Obviously, it was inspired by colonialization efforts in South America, at least from what I look at. I mean, it had that kind of appearance to it, and interestingly, even though it was only a one-shot scenario, and I don't think this guy made any more, they still put in some specialized assets in it. This was not that bad. Kind of liked it. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. Next episode, we'll move on to another scenario. Till then, I'm Chester44, that is Fox. This has been a Blades of Avernum Let's Play, and I shall see you all next time.